couple weeks ago, I was on an IG live, and one of the topics that came up was turnaround time for photographers and videographers, specifically photographers, but what I'm going to talk about in this video, I feel like it applies to both. And I essentially said that I think we are now in a time where, you know, the 2-week, 3-week, 4-week turnaround time is just too long. It's just way too long, and I think photographers and videographers should be having really fast turnaround time. You know, for photography, you know, 2-3 business days, 4 business days. For videography, you know, a week and a half. And I got some pushback from the photographer that was on the live and a couple photographers that were in the chat, and I think I was in the minority. But I want to shed some insight on why I feel that way, because I do think as creatives, we are in a time where turnaround time has to be instant and not rush delivery where you charge for it. Like, the standard needs to be really quick. If we step back, if you think about our day-to-day, the world that we live in, our daily lives, everything is almost instant, right? If somebody says something and we don't know what it is, or we're curious, we Google it, we get an answer right away. We use AI, things like ChatGPT and Gemini, to give us whatever information we need right away. When we are on social media, we are consuming content quickly. We are looking at photos and swiping fast. We're watching videos that are 10-15 seconds, and then we're moving on to the next thing because we want content, we want stuff fast. We have things like DoorDash, we have Uber, you know, where we don't want to wait. We don't want to have to deal with the hassle of going somewhere to park. We just want what we want right now. So we live in a right now world, in a right now time. And so as creatives, the thought of someone hiring us to take photos and it taking us 3 weeks to deliver those photos seems like an eternity in the world that we live in. And especially, you know, with event photography. Now, I think with event photography, that one's always had a little bit more of an aggressive turnaround time. But I think right now, if you shoot an event and you don't have that content back to them within 2 days, 3 days tops, you've missed out on an opportunity, because we live in such an instant world, because we live in such a world where our attention spans are very short. And whether or not we like that or not is a whole different conversation. And it is what it is. If you're delivering something to your client, if they have an event and you're delivering something 2 weeks later, they've long moved past that event. You know, the excitement has wore off, the enthusiasm, the feeling that they had from the event, everything about that event, by the time they get that, it's going to feel like that event was forever ago. Even if it was only 2 weeks, like 2 weeks was never a long time in the past, but now 2 weeks seems like an eternity. You almost can't remember what you did 2 weeks ago. So you miss out on opportunities, because as creatives, what we really want to build upon is excitement and nostalgia, right? That's how we can upsell, right? If you are the type of photographer that sells prints, or if you know you have a certain number of images in your package and you know you want to upsell additional, you do that based off of the excitement and the nostalgia in that moment. So if you miss that moment, no one wants to buy photos from an event that they don't even remember anymore, or an event that when they see the photos, they're like, oh yeah, that was a good time, but now that nostalgia is gone. And so you miss out on that. So I just think that whether we like it or not, okay, whether you like this idea or not, whether you agree or not, we do live in a fast-paced world, an extremely fast-paced world. And I think creatives are going to be left behind if, as a creative, you continue to say, well, I'm gonna, stick with my 2-week turnaround or my 3-week turnaround time, and if they want it faster, they can pay for it. Now, one of the arguments that they came back with was that it takes time, I'm busy, I can't do a shoot today and get the images back to them tomorrow. And my argument to that was, if you are a creative, especially if you are a full-time creative, the goal is to always be busy. Okay, the goal is to always be booked. The goal is to always have shoots that you're doing. So you always have to find the time to edit your content and deliver your content. If you're doing a shoot today and you don't have anything for the next 2 weeks, that's not ideally where you want to be, especially as a full-time creative. So you're going to be busy every single day and you have to carve out the time. So to me, there's not much of a difference between getting something back to the client within 2 days or getting something back to the client within 2 weeks. You still have to figure out and find the time to do that. And I think it's so much easier now because we have so many tools. AI for me has seriously reduced my editing time down, I kid you not, 80-90%. To think about how much time it used to take me to do an edit on a photo, 5 years ago, even, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, versus where it's at today. And I'm not even big on I'm not a heavy retouch or anything of the sort, but it's cut the time down 90%. So, I'm able to edit images really quickly. So there really is not much of an excuse for me not to be able to turn that around to my clients to, in 2 days, 3 days, and, not charge them extra for it. So, you have that. Another thing that came up was weddings. And, I get with weddings and kind of events, but weddings you're doing maybe a little bit more editing than you do with events. But with weddings, I get it. It's a long day. You have a lot of images that you are shooting. You have a lot of images that you're returning to the client. So the thought of being able to get that back to the client within 2 or 3 days seems daunting. To some people, it may seem impossible. But I still feel like I have the same argument. There's so many tools out there, and I don't know the names, but I know there's tools that can call through your images. There's tools that can pick the best ones. There's tools that can get rid of duplicates. There's tools that can find similar images and flag the one that it deems the best. There's tools that can automatically edit in your style. There's all of these tools at our disposal to be able to do a lot of the heavy lifting, things that we literally can come home, upload the stuff into our computer, and then let these tools do what they do overnight even, and then come back the next day and kind of breeze through, do what we have to do, and then get those out to the client. So even in weddings, I don't see where something couldn't be delivered in a week. Now, I'll be the first to say I don't shoot weddings by choice. Okay, so people that shoot weddings may have something else to rebut back on why they don't think that makes sense or why they couldn't do it. And that's fine. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But I think if, as a creative, you continue to maintain your timeline because you feel like it's what makes sense, or you feel like it's the only thing you can do, or you feel like you want to continue to charge for people to be able to have access to that stuff quickly, I personally think you are going to push yourself out of work. Because what's going to happen is people are going to have a choice between photographers, and one of the things that they're going to be looking for is fast turnaround time and not having to pay for it. Because there's going to be 10 photographers that are saying, yeah, you'll get your content back within 72 hours. And then you have you over here that's saying you'll get them back within 2 weeks. Or if you're a wedding photographer, you'll get them back in 6 weeks. You're going to become the option that people don't choose. Because at the end of the day, people want that content immediately. Now, something that has always bugged me, and I think this is really where this thought started in my mind. Something that has always bugged me is when I'm shooting an event and people that are in the audience at the event are posting stuff immediately. And obviously we can't stop that. I mean, they could, well, you could say something, but they're not going to do that. But the issue that I've always had with that is that you have this event that hires a creative to capture that event. And in essence, a little bit of the thunder is taken away from that creative because you have so many people in the audience that is posting content. So by the time you get your content posted, it no longer feels fresh. It no longer feels exciting because so many people have already seen content. And the thing, a mistake that I think creatives make sometimes is that they think that our work, because well, first of all, they think that our work is so much better than, people using their iPhone. And in a lot of instances, that's just simply not true. It's not the case. But also, creatives tend to think that everybody views our work as this piece of art and this masterpiece. And the reality is the average person doesn't. They look at our content and they like it, but they don't really look at our content and see it as any better than seeing somebody that posted something with an iPhone. The average person just likes content that looks good, and a lot of things that we think don't look good, the average person doesn't even care about, and they still think that it looks good. So when you have like all of these people posting all of this stuff, it really takes a little bit of the thunder away from what we do. And that makes it even more important for us to deliver our content to our clients quickly. Because if you have people that are literally posting it same day, for that client to get their content from you 2 weeks later, you've missed it. You've absolutely missed it. They're not going to be excited about that content. Now, depending upon what it's for, if it's for, like marketing, if it's for website, if it's for things like that, where there's a longer duration of use, that's a bit of a different story. But at the end of the day, I think it's important for us to get into that window when people are still excited. And the reality is that window isn't nearly as big, it isn't nearly as long as it used to be. It is a very short window, and I think it's imperative for creatives to get accustomed to that and start to adjust the way that we do things and adjust our business, adjust our workflow to fit in the world that we live in, the fast-paced world that we live in. It just is what it is. And I'll end it with, I don't know the saying, the exact saying, but it was something along the lines of like, adapt to the change in times or get left behind, something along those lines, whatever it was. But that's really what it is. And I mean, it's the same with AI as well, right? I mean, if you are resistant to AI, you're going to get left behind because the world is going to progress with it. Whether you like it or not, the world is going to progress with it, and it's going to change the way the world works and the way that we operate in the world. And if you are reluctant to use it, you're going to get left behind. And I think our turnaround time, our delivery windows are really the same way. If you are reluctant to change, if you are reluctant to adapt to the fast-paced world that we live in, you're going to get left behind. You are going to be the photographer, the videographer that's not getting booked, because there's 20 other ones that are turning their stuff around faster than you are. And people will ultimately value that over other things. Don't make the mistake of thinking just because our content is so good and we're using this great equipment to create this work, that is going to be more important than someone getting it back fast. You will have people that will prioritize speed and how quickly they get it back over the quality. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the quality is good. It's decent. It gets the job done. It's good enough, as I like to say. For most people, good enough is good enough. So don't get left behind. Adjust with the times.